destroys the Asherah poles. When you get to Judges chapter 3, as soon as Joshua dies, we're going to have Joshua chapter 3. I'll go ahead and turn to that. And immediately, when they don't have the leadership, they go back to the Asherah poles. Look at verse 7. The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God. They served the Baals and the Asherahs, the goddess of fertility. And it's just a sad thing. So now we're in 2 Chronicles. We have Jehoiada dies. He was leading them to do good things. We were restoring the temple. Now he's gone. Now the other guys are saying, you know what? The temple's not where it's at. This isn't what we want. We kind of want the high places. Well, let's look at verse 19. What do you think God's going to do? God sends them a preacher. He sent prophets to the people to bring them back to him. And though they testified against him, they would not listen. What do you think our theme is tonight? Who are you going to listen to? And we have Joash, who listens to the officials that kind of paid homage or kind of were kissing up to him, leads them the wrong way. And then the man of God, the preacher of God, kind of shows up, and here it is, would not listen. Now, sometimes when a preacher preaches, the people don't listen, and I know why. It just wasn't a good sermon. I've heard some sermons before that I'm like, if I put up, listen to all of it, I get to go to heaven. Sometimes a preacher's just not honest game, is it? Isn't that sometimes? Have y'all ever been to church when you think, Jerry, I know you've had a rough week. We're going to pray for you. But sometimes we don't listen to the sermon. It's not because the message is bad. It's because we just don't want to listen to the sermon.
Yeah.
They did not listen. So here's what's going to happen. You're not going to believe it. This is terrible. The Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada. Remember Jehoiada that we talked about? Jehoiada that was so good? The one that saved Joash, raised Joash, made him king. Jehoiada's son, Zechariah, stood before the people and said, this is what God says. Why do you disobey the Lord's commands? You will not prosper because you have forsaken the Lord. And I notice that this is kind of scary. And he has forsaken you. Trying to get the speaker that we'll respect. If I get the speaker that everybody's going to listen to, we're going to get Jehoiada's son. He's going to come in and he's going to speak the truth, and the people will listen to him. You hope. And he says, here's what you have done. You have disobeyed God. You've gone your own way. And since you have forsaken God, guess what? God's going to let you go. That's always a scary thing about God. You ask God to lead. Do you remember the time when Jesus showed up? We have a guy that had so many demons, they called him Legion. And he cast out all the demons and went into the pigs. And they called that the Bay of Pigs. Do you remember what the people asked Jesus to do? He asked them to leave.
Yeah.
You know what Jesus did? He left. You have forsaken God. He's let you go. And that's kind of the scary thing. What are they going to do? They're going to repeat. You kind of hope they'll repeat. You hope they listen. You hope they obey. But verse 21 says, but they plotted against him, and by order of the king, by the order of Joash, they stoned Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, that actually saved and gave the life to Joash. They stoned his son where? In the courtyard of the Lord's temple. And the reason, and it's given here, for King Joash did not remember the kindness that Zechariah's father Jehoiada had shown to him, but killed his son, who said as he lied dying, he expected him to say something like Stephen, he expected him to say something like Jesus. But Zechariah said, may the Lord see this and call you to account. Does anybody remember that story in the Bible? Does anybody remember that one? That's a bad story. How many want to just kind of jump on Joash and say, how could you do? Jehoiada was so good to you. You forgot his sacrifices and all the things that he did. You wouldn't even be here for him. And you forgot forgot all those things, and killed his own son. Which, by the way, Zechariah could have been 100. But here we have Joash killing Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, that was so good to Joash. And we could do a sermon about, Israel just never was faithful to God. Joash just didn't remember how good Jehoiada was. But I want to talk about us. I want to talk about our Heavenly Father that is so good to us, who saved us, gave us life, made us who we are. And what did we do to his son? So before we just throw rocks at Joash, guess what? How do we treat Jesus? Because God's been good to us. Can we go to the New Testament real quick? Matthew chapter 21, if you have your Bible. And I know Sunday night I didn't wait too much on Matthew. I had too long to do a lesson. And I know you said I gave you too much. You'd have been proud of me if you knew all the stuff I left out. We could have been there all night. It's a great book. It's written to the Jew. It's a warning to the Jew. By the way, the Jew who wrote it to the Jew was a tax collector. And guess what? The Jewish leaders are not getting in, but you know who's getting in? A tax collector. Jesus shows up, and the enemy is the scribes and the Pharisees and the leaders. And the ones that get it are the ones that receive Jesus. And when we have the final week that Jesus is about to be on the cross, it's an amazing week. We're going to have Jesus cleanse the temple. We're going to have Jesus going to have the wonderful triumphal entry where they're going to say, Hosanna, save us. We're going to have Jesus show up, and in Matthew chapter 21, if I give you the context, we're going to have the authority of Jesus as questions or challenged. He's going to be challenged by the elders. He's going to be challenged by the scribes, the priests, and the people. They're going to say, why do you do what you're doing? By what authority do you do this? And Jesus said, let me tell you a story. There's a story about two sons. Father had two sons, and he gave them a job, and one of them said that I'll do it. And the other one said, I'm not going to do it. And the weird thing is, things turn out, and if you have kids, you understand that the one that said he was going to do it actually didn't do it. The one that said he's not going to do it changed his mind, and he did it. How many of y'all think that's a weird story? You know what the meaning of that story is? There's a lot of people, we're probably talking about the scribes and the Pharisees and all the people that are really involved in religion, and they said they're going to do it. But guess what? They didn't do it. And then you have these tax collectors and these people, and a lot of people look at them because you know what, they had a rough, it was tough on them, but you know what, they found Jesus, and they changed their mind, and they came to them, and they did it. And then he tells another parable. I want you to listen to this parable. Beginning in verse 33 of Matthew 21. He said, listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it, dug a winepress in it. He built a watchtower. By the way, if you want to put it in the margin, Isaiah chapter 5. Put Isaiah chapter 5. We've got a very similar story in Isaiah chapter 5 about the same thing. We're going to have this landowner. We're going to have this vineyard. We're going to have a wall. We're going to have the winepress. And we're going to have this watchtower. And in Isaiah chapter 5 is we're waiting for the fruit. And what we expect on this fertile hill, we expect good fruit. And guess what they got? Bad fruit. Guess what the message is in Isaiah? Israel, God did everything for Israel. God loved Israel, prepared everything for Israel. They should have had good fruit, and guess what? It was bad. Jesus tells a little bit different story. The landowner rented the vineyard to some farmers who went away, and then he went away on a journey. And when the harvest time approached, he sent the servants to the tenants to collect the fruit. The tenants seized the servants, and they beat one, they killed another, they stoned the third. Then he sent another servant to him, and more than the first time, the tenants treated him the same way. Last of all, he sent a son to them, for he thought, they will respect my son, he said. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, this is the heir, come, let's kill him and take his inheritance. So they took him and they threw him out of the vineyard and they killed him. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do? The tenants. Kind of hold our place right there. Let me tell you about this parable. You got to be careful with parables, but I think this is kind of obvious. There was a landowner. Do you know who the landowner is? God. Very good. You did well. There was a vineyard. You know who the vineyard is? Israel. Israel. It's the Jew. You got the farmers, and the farmers, they're going to be the religious leaders, the teachers. Let me kind of explain it. We would say sharecroppers. Have you heard of sharecroppers? Okay. Tenant farmers. They don't own the land. What they do, they come in and they farm the land, and they get a portion of the profit, but the landowner also gets a portion of the profit. So what we have is we have the landowner, that's God. We have a vineyard that God took special time to make this vineyard, and we've got the wine. We're expecting good things. And now we have these religious leaders, we have these farmers that are supposed to take care of the vineyard. And when we have the produce, then we have the things go back to God. And so who did God send? He sent his servants, and those are the prophets. And guess what Israel did with the prophets?
Killed them.
In our story, first of all, they didn't listen to them. And then they beat some. And then they found out, let's just kill them. And they did. Jesus one time said, which of the prophets have you not killed? And so we send the prophets, they don't heed to the message. So then God says, here's what I'll do. I'll send my son. And here comes Jesus, and guess what we're going to do to him?
Kill him.
Isn't that amazing? Doug, I didn't give you this verse, but you can skip down to verse 43. Can you do that real quick? The Bible says, therefore I tell you what the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to the people who will produce its fruit. Again, I think it's an evangelistic book, but it's written to the Jew. It's a warning. It's apologetic. Jesus is the fulfillment of the law. We're going to have kingdom of heaven multiple times through the Gospel of Matthew. Only 4 times we're going to say kingdom of God. If you say kingdom of God, you got all the Jews' attention because you don't use the name of God. And here in this one verse, he's going to use the name of God. He's going to say the kingdom of God. I tell you what, the kingdom of God is going to be taken from you. And the reason it's be taken from you is you missed the Son. You didn't remember the kindness of the Father, and you killed the Son. Just like Joash. Did you know that Pilate's trying to get out of things? He's going to bring a man up. We're going to have a kind of, we'll say he's guilty, but it's Passover, it's the feast time, and we have kind of a thing that we do. We release the prisoner, and I'll give you a choice. You can imagine Pilate had Jesus on one side, and he tried to come up with the worst, the sorriest, the baddest guy in town. And it was a guy named Barabbas. He was an insurrectionist. He was a murderer. Origen's going to tell us that his name, Barabbas, is actually Jesus Barabbas. Isn't that interesting? He said that about 250 AD, so we're going to be about 200 years after the fact. So we kind of wondered. But in that instance, we're going to have, are you going to choose Jesus Barabbas or Jesus, the Son of the Father? By the way, do you know what Barabbas means? Son of the Father. So are we going to have Jesus, Son of the Father, or Jesus, Son of the Father? But you got to choose. You know what the people said? We want Barabbas. Isn't that amazing? I can't imagine how Jesus felt when his own people chose Barabbas. I can't imagine how God didn't put his finger on the destruct button at the time. I really don't. You know, we sing a song, Jesus, he could have called 10,000 angels. I would have. Wouldn't y'all? I'd have had enough of it. And what happens is we crucify the Son all over again. In Hebrews chapter 6, verse 4 to 6, it talks about those that once were enlightened and they fall away. It's kind of weird text, but it talks about it's impossible to restore them to repentance. Not because it's impossible for God to forgive, but probably we can go so far that we just won't come back. But when we do that, you end those verses by saying, and in doing so, over and over. And so the point is, I think so many times we kind of get involved in life, but we, like Joash, forget how good the Father is. Father who gave us life, who saved our life, who made our life. How do we honor the Father? We receive and adore the Son. You know, it's kind of interesting. You know what Zechariah means? No Hebrew scholars and does. Joash didn't remember. Guess what Zechariah means? Zechariah means God or the Lord remembers. Romans chapter 11, verse 22. Familiar scripture. Remember the kindness. And the NIV says sternness. How many of y'all remember the King James? Anybody remember the New American Standard says the same thing. It doesn't say sternness. The kindness or the severity of God. That word is actually roughness, and sternness is okay. I think severity is good. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a contrast, an opposite. We have the kindness of God and the severity of God. We got the love of God and we have the judgment of God. And guess what? They're both God. And there's some folks that like just to talk all about the wrath of God and the judgment of God and the God, the all-seeing eye watching you and just ready to nuke you at any time. And that's a side of God, the holiness side of God. But they miss the love of God. What He's done for us in His Son. And you got to have the love of God, but I tell you what, you can't forget the sternness, the severity of God. So we come back to our story in 2 Chronicles, and guess what? When they kill Zechariah, do you think God's going to do something? Let's look at verse 23. 2 Chronicles 24. At the turn of the year, the army of Aram, again this is Syria, marched against Joash, invaded Judah and Jerusalem, and killed all the leaders of the people. They sent all the plunder of the king to Damascus, and although the Aramean army had come with only a few men, the Lord delivered into their hands a much larger army, because Judah had forsaken the Lord, and the God of their fathers. Judgment was executed on Joash. Guess what? If you're the original reader, reading at a time you come back to Jerusalem, economy's not that good, we're not that strong militarily, we just don't know where our future is. God's sovereign and God's in control. God can use Syria, God can use a smaller army, God can do what God decides that He's going to do. So you trust Him and you listen to Him. But when they didn't, we had this army that's smaller that comes in and whips up. But here's the message. Let's keep reading. Verse 25. When the Arameans withdrew, they left Joash severely wounded. And his officials conspired against him for murdering the son of Jehoiada, the priest. And they killed him in his bed. Notice, so he died. He was buried in the city of David. But not in the tombs of the kings. And again, we kind of begin and what was his life for? Well, we're going to bury him in the city, but not with the kings. But because he wasn't good for Jehoiada, they retribution. And then the end of it, I'm not going to read it, but the end of the chapter, the guys that conspired against everybody and did the thing. So what do you think is going to happen in chapter 25? I want to read chapter 25 just a little bit, so what the rest of the story is. Let's do that. Let's just put fun of it. Look at verse 1. Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. This is going to be the son of Joash, because he's no longer here. His mother's name was Jehoiadin, which is very close to Jehoiada. She was also from Jerusalem. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. And we're all excited. We got a new king. He's a good king. And we got a but. Don't you hate that? But he didn't serve God. wholeheartedly. And I tell you, the problem going on in the United States today is not with government.
That's right.
It's not school system. It's not politics. It's people who claim to be the people of God, and they're not ready to serve God wholeheartedly. On the outside, it looks okay. We're going to read through the chapter, and it's not. What is Chronicles saying? God's looking for that person whose heart is totally dependent on Him. And we have this guy, and he's going to be the king, and he's going to be pretty good, but he doesn't seek the Lord with all his heart. After the kingdom was firmly in his control, by the way, when he finally realized how much power and authority he had, now he can kind of do what he wants to do, he executed the officials that had murdered his father. It's kind of interesting thing. So at the end of the last chapter, you didn't know if what they did was a good thing or a bad thing, because actually Joash kind of deserved it, but did these guys really have the right to do what they did? Because that's really not that they judged, you know. And so now we're going to do it. And then we come back and say, but he didn't put the sons to death, but he acted in accordance with what's written in the law of Moses, where it says fathers are not to be put to death for what their children do, and children are to be put to death for their fathers do. So we're going to kill these guys because they killed somebody, and we're going to quote scripture when we do it. But here's the next thing, and this is where we'll end, and it'll kind of be a happier ending. Amaziah called the people of Judah together, assigned them according to the families of the commanders, thousands, commanders of hundreds, called Judah and Benjamin. And then he mustered those 20 years of old and older, who found that there was 300,000 men ready for military service. So when you're reading this and you're kind of Jewish, and you see that we have the numbers, we're going to have the hundreds, and we're going to have the people counting, and we muster, and they're 20 years and older, they already know where we're going. You're in the army now. We're trying to see how powerful we are, and we're kind of seeing how powerful we are kind of without God. We're just going to have a good military. Able to handle 100,000 fighting men from Israel. Here's what they're going to do. They hired, ready for this, 100,000 fighting men from Israel for 100 talents of silver. So they raised a large army of Judah. Then they send a letter to Israel, the northern tribes, and said, hey, we're paying mercenaries if y'all want to fight with us and for us. But a man of God showed up, and he said, O king, these troops of Israel must not march with you, for the Lord is not with Israel, not with any of the people of Ephraim. Even if you go and fight courageously in battle, God will overthrow you before the enemy, for God has power to help or to overthrow. Again, the sovereignty of God that's so powerful in Chronicles. So Amaziah asked the man of God, but what about the 100 talents that I paid for? You know why this is in the Bible? Because they're Jewish. Y'all missed that one. He was listening and said, okay, we can't have the, but we already paid them. This is where my cheapness. If you think you're frugal and your best friend says you're cheap, you're cheap. And he says, I get that we shouldn't fight with, but we've already paid them the money. And then the man of God replied, the Lord can give you much more than that. Just trust God. So Amaziah dismissed the troops who had come from Ephraim and sent them home. And we'll get this next. But there's just some things I can't figure out in the Bible. But anyway, they were furious with Jews. They got paid to do nothing, and they're mad. That's insane. No wonder the Lord went with Israel. They're just not very smart. But here's the point. When Amaziah heard the word to the messenger of God, he built the army. He's trying to get his strength. He's trying to do the things. But when the man of God showed up and said, you can't take Israel. If Israel's part of your army, you will lose. What did he do? He listened to the man of God. You want to do well in life? Listen to the truth. Listen to God's word. It's true. It's right. So my question tonight is, who are you listening to? That makes all the difference. Lord, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this place that we come. We thank you for your word. We thank you for truth. Father, we live in a world that tries us, that tests us. And Father, I pray that you'll deliver up a people that seek you with all of their heart, that we have ears that are open, that we listen for you. And Father, help us to please cut out the noise, especially when it comes to some things such as sexual immorality. Help us to flee, help us to run, help us to get out of the house. Father, help us always to be in counsel with you, and help us to listen. In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name.